and we want to have real, meaningful solutions that will make our community safer.
New plans in the works to fight juvenile crime statewide. How two top prosecutors are going after gangs they say are responsible. And get ready to pay more to heat up your home. What the PSC's decision means for your BGE bill.
I'm Wyatt Everhart. A relatively nice start to the weekend today with just a few clouds, but we're tracking our next storm system. We'll talk about when this arrives into Maryland.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. Looking live over Charleston with that gorgeous kind of pink hue and glow over the sky this morning as we wait for the sun to come up. Thanks for being with us this Saturday, December 16th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's go ahead and jump into your forecast. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart. It's looking pretty outside. I'm excited to see the sunrise.
Yeah, look, it's going to be we had a great Friday. I think Saturday, much the same, but changes are on the way. So we don't get the whole weekend on a quiet note, but we do get a quiet start this morning. A little milder than yesterday, generally mid-30s across Maryland, and we do see just a few thin clouds coming in out of the west, but I still think a decent amount of sunshine today, so that'll be nice. We should climb once again into the upper 50s around here. So actually yesterday we touched 60 degrees, if you can believe that. So really not bad at all by mid-December standards. However, all good things, right? They will come to an end for us, at least on Sunday, as we look at our next coastal storm brewing down here off the coast of the Gulf of U.S. And we'll talk about when the impact arrives from this and how long it lasts. It's all coming up.
We are fighting for our families, we're fighting for ourselves, of course the larger community as well, but we understand the issues facing people in our community, and we want to have real meaningful solutions that will make our community safer.
Two of Maryland's top prosecutors are hoping to make additions to a current state statute they believe will lead to fewer carjackings. It comes as Fox 45 continues to hear residents' concerns surrounding juvenile crime. This morning, our Vincent Hale is taking a closer look at the new legislation proposed by State Attorney Ivan Bates and Aisha Braveboy.
A united front by the state's attorney of Baltimore City.
What could we do united to, hopefully fix the problems that we're suffering together?
In Prince George's County.
We want to have real, meaningful solutions that will make our community safer.
Ivan Bates and Aisha Braveboy proposing several bills for the next legislative session, including.
We want to expand the organized crime statute so that the statute really reflects what we're seeing on the streets.
To go after carjackers. Currently, under Maryland statute, a person is guilty if they knowingly direct a juvenile to commit a crime for what is considered an organized criminal organization. Currently, carjacking is not considered in that definition.
What we're really seeing are crews or more loosely associated or affiliated individuals becoming organized to commit certain types of offenses, in particular carjackings.
The proposed bill would look to make carjacking and those who benefit from it organized.
A lot of what we're seeing now are more sophisticated operations involving multiple levels of people who are benefiting from this type of crime.
This year in Prince George's County, 488 carjackings, up 77% from this time last year. In Baltimore City,
carjacking and auto theft arrest of juveniles. Year to date, 234.
522 carjackings. Of the 234 juveniles arrested, 66 of them repeat offenders, sometimes using violence. Bates and Braveboy say getting the proposal passed would bring down those numbers.
I think one of the things you see is criminal organizations able to use juveniles and to say, hey, nothing's going to happen to you in the first place, so we're going to direct you to do that type of behavior. We want to make sure that child is treated as a child and protected from some of the individuals that will prey on them because of the laws.
Now, Bates and Braveboy are proposing a number of changes to the way the state handles juvenile crime. They want to increase probation for kids who have guns and kids who steal cars. They also want DJS to immediately notify the courts when a young person on home monitoring violates that agreement. Now, Ivan Bates wants to change the Child Interrogation Protection Act. We've talked about this many times. That law requires an attorney to approve law enforcement's questioning of a juvenile, even if a parent already gives the okay. Bates wants to change that law requiring an attorney to be present during the questioning. The prosecutors acknowledge there likely will not be any changes to the Juvenile Justice Reform Act. That's the one that prevents kids 13 and younger from facing serious charges. This session, despite that, they say they're confident other changes will be successful.
Do you think there'll be support and appetite to make these changes in the General Assembly?
I think so. I think that a lot of the topics that we're hitting on are near and dear to many of our legislators, and they should be, because they're near and dear to our constituents.
At the end of the day, we serve the people, and this isn't just what we want. This is what the people have told us they want.
Bates and Braveboy are just two of more than a dozen top prosecutors across Maryland calling for changes to the juvenile justice system. They say current laws leave their hands tied and allow young people to act without fear of consequences.
So what we're realizing when we talk to young people is that young people, the juveniles, know there's nothing that we can do.
We can't charge them. I mean, essentially, if they are found to have committed the crime, the police just have to drive them home. I mean, that's really all we can do.
We can only hope that they'll not listen to just folks like me or my 23 colleagues across the state who are the chief prosecutors in our counties, but hopefully they'll listen to their citizens, because their citizens are saying the exact same thing. Enough's enough.
Well, on Monday, Senate President Bill Ferguson will have a town hall to address juvenile crime and public safety in Baltimore. DJS Secretary Vincent Giraldi will be included in this, and he said he doesn't believe anyone under 25 should be exposed to the criminal justice system. While the governor has called the DJS Secretary a reformer, others say his views make Maryland less safe.
You're basically saying up until the age of 25, which is what he wants to do, you get a free ride.
Unfortunately, legislators, lawmakers, have decided that it's better to support the lawbreakers rather than those who are enforcing the law.
Fox 45 News will be at Monday's town hall to hold your elected leaders accountable for the juvenile crime problem. We're going to keep you updated here on air and online. This morning, we're learning more about what evidence might be presented to the jury in Marilyn Mosby's second trial next month. Mosby was found guilty of 2 perjury charges in her first trial back in November. Now, next month's trial deals with the 2 federal mortgage fraud charges she's facing. Mosby's team is asking the judge to allow external communication to be admitted, including conversations from Nick Mosby indicating he was the one who applied for the loan to pay off the tax lien on the former couple's home. That lien is at the center of this case. Prosecutors are asking the judge not to allow that evidence. You can find more on the new filings on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Still ahead, more problems facing Maryland's embattled college savings plan. Why some are saying the money wrongfully taken out of their accounts will not be paid back in full.
I'm Wyatt Everhart. Next 8 hours looking pretty good around Maryland. We're going to climb into the 50s, some sunshine, but clouds increase tonight. Coastal storm arriving tomorrow. Those details coming up.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Well, developing this morning, the Maryland Public Service Commission has given BGE the green light to raise your rates every year for the next 3 years. Let's break down the cost here. Over the next 3 years, rates will heat up to the tune of $408 million. That's still less than the $603 million in rate increases that BGE was requesting from the PSC. As for what that means for you, well, the PSC claims in 2024, electric customers can expect to see their bills go up a little more than $4 a month, while gas customers will see a $10 a month increase, okay? Those increases do go down slightly over the next 2 years, though. In total, if you get both gas and electric from BGE by 2026, you'll be paying about $22 more a month.
We've talked about like moving to Delaware, and a lot of people that I know, family members, have considered moving from Baltimore because the taxes just keep going up and up, it seems like, on everything.
We're retired, and so it's tough, and everybody wants more money all the time. And, you know, it's just not fair. You can only get so much blood out of a turnip. It's just, sometimes there just isn't any more.
Those increases are set to take effect at the start of next month. For the first time in years, Baltimore City may see fewer than 300 homicides in a year. What federal leaders are saying about the drop in gun violence. A Baltimore County teacher accused of misconduct in school teaching what she's now accused of and how she was allowed to re-enter the school system. Project Baltimore investigates just ahead. If a substitute teacher is accused of misconduct and puts student safety in jeopardy, should that teacher keep their job? Well, Project Baltimore's Chris Pabst has learned in Baltimore County the answer is yes. And as long as that teacher goes to another school. Take a look.
What's the bigger picture here? You think there could be more people like you?
Absolutely. I think Baltimore County Schools needs to look at how they're handling their substitute teachers.
Jen Reedholm hopes her 6-year fight with Baltimore County Public Schools is nearly over. Since 2017, she's been trying to get her name removed from the Do Not Use Substitute Teacher list at Warren Elementary. BCPS says in 2017, she left a class unattended, which was unsafe for students. Reed Holmes says that's not true.
I want my record cleared and I want to be removed off the do not use list.
Her own employment records with BCPS do not show Reed Holmes ever working at Warren Elementary.
Nope, I've never substituted at Warren Elementary.
Since Project Baltimore first told Reed Holmes' story last week, she reached out to BCPS and received this reply saying the district is reviewing all the facts. But being on the do not use list is only half her story. If you take a closer look at Reed Holmes' employment records, you'll see, despite being on Warren's do not use list, she's been getting work.
May Chapel, Stoneleigh, Pinewood, I was at a few times.
Since 2017, she's taught at 8 county elementary schools.
Mostly Carroll Manor now.
Think about that for a minute. Reed Holmes was accused of putting students in danger at Warren Elementary. She was banned from teaching here, so she just went to other county schools and kept working. Reed Holmes told Project Baltimore the other schools didn't know because principals do not have access to the do not use list from other schools.
If you did something in one school and that school determined that you should not be teaching, why would they let you teach in another school?
That's the million-dollar question.
Baltimore County Schools told Fox 45 in a statement that schools have the autonomy to determine which substitutes best meet the need of their programs and students. And a substitute can appear on 3 do not use lists before they can no longer work in BCPS. The exception to that rule is when substitute teachers are suspected of child abuse, in which case they are barred from all schools. Reed Holmes was not accused of child abuse, which is why she could keep teaching.
Baltimore County Schools allows you to mess up in 3 different schools before you're fired. So if you're on 3 do not use lists, then you are excused. You cannot have a job in Baltimore County anymore.
But this would not happen in Anne Arundel County Public Schools. If a teacher is barred from teaching in one school, they are barred from teaching in all schools. But other local school systems follow BCPS. Harford and Howard County schools also have do not use lists for substitute teachers, but they can still teach at other schools unless they are accused of physical or sexual abuse. In that case, the substitute would no longer be allowed to teach. But remember, Baltimore County Schools said in this 2022 letter to Reed Holmes that it was concerned for the safety of students due to her alleged actions. Yet she was still allowed to work in other schools.
I'm always saying, make it make sense, because it never does.
Project Baltimore will continue to follow this story as Reed Holmes works to clear her name in Baltimore County Public Schools. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
All right, let's go ahead and get into our forecast. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart with a look at what we're working with this gorgeous Saturday morning. Yeah. I mean, come on now.
Nice
look
start.
At that.
Nice start. We had a great Friday weather-wise, too, right, Taylor, afternoon. Pretty mild out there, 50s.
Yeah.
We get it again today, more good weather, and then everything changes again as we go from Sunday into Monday around here. So we'll show you that detail in just a second. First, current conditions at BWI 35. Winds are west at 5 miles per hour. I think we'll see pretty quiet wind today. Winds will be ramping up tomorrow with the approach of that next storm system. And right now we've got, chilled numbers in the mid-30s for the most part right around Baltimore. Those numbers are set to warm up a solid 20 degrees or so today. So we'll look for mid-50s once again by afternoon. Almost no wind to speak of. Again, right now it's pretty quiet. And that means with the sunshine out mixing with some clouds today, we're talking about another nice temperature climb above average. Average high temp this time of year, 48. We should easily get to 56, if not some spots close to 60 late this afternoon. But things always must change right on the weather front, especially in December around Maryland. We're tracking our next weather maker. This is an unusually strong coastal storm. Really, it's been blowing up here in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. This thing's going to make a run up the coast. Now, in winters past, or certainly certain weather setups, this could ultimately be like a major snow type system, except for we don't have the cold air in place right now, and there's not going to be enough cold air working into the system in time to really produce winter weather for anything but maybe far western Maryland. So this is a rain and wind storm, and it is going to make its presence felt tomorrow afternoon into Sunday night, and probably at least the first half of Monday. But it's primarily wind and rain, certainly for central Maryland and points east. Nice start to the weekend, though. Again, tracking that coastal storm. Get everything done you got to get done outside no later than Sunday morning. After that, we're looking at a clearing and colder scenario toward the middle part of next week. High pressure still in control for now. Mild conditions, but again, all eyes on this low pressure area down here in the Gulf. And again, it continues to strengthen and really is sending in a ton of rain today to Florida. You talk about an ugly day down in a so-called sunshine state. They got it today. This system ultimately is going to continue to work its way up the coast, going into the Carolinas tomorrow morning. We're just under the clouds first thing Sunday. But as we work into Sunday afternoon, there we go. Big time rain's arriving. And so this will kind of be the story. Rain and wind. Great night to stay in and just watch the Ravens play, right? So here's the 7-day forecast. Here's how it unfolds. Heavy rain moves on Sunday. Rain and wind Monday early. And then it's just a colder scenario into the middle part of next week.
Well, residents in Baltimore and beyond are fed up with bike lanes. They say they're clogging traffic and making streets less safe. FOX45 News is looking into how much those lanes are costing taxpayers. And coming up in your consumer news, the reason behind the rising price of one breakfast staple, plus the unexpected donation to an Oregon rescue mission. Stick with us here. Well, in your consumer news, a new Moody's Analytic report finds that Americans are not keeping up with their monthly credit card bills nor their car loan payments. Data shows credit card balances in the third quarter went up by 4.7%. Auto loan balances went up by almost 1%. The spike in delinquencies comes in the middle of the Federal Reserve's interest rate hike campaign. Meanwhile, a major egg producer says an avian flu outbreak in Kansas affected about 1.6 1.6% of its total flock. Meanwhile, a report from the USDA shows outbreaks of the bird flu have hit dozens of commercial egg producers. It could cause yet another spike in the cost of eggs. The agency reports regional large egg prices are up about $2.06 for a dozen wholesale, but holiday demand could also impact that price. And as you prepare for Christmas and send out all those gifts, the Federal Trade Commission wants you to know of shipping scams. The FTC says scammers are sending fake invoices and shipping messages to get personal information. They say scammers will send shoppers messages claiming that they may have missed delivery or attempted to deliver. And in order for you to receive that package, you have to click on a link to reschedule it. Don't do it. Consumers should not respond to these unexpected messages or to an invoice for items you've never ordered. If the message seems real, contact the shipping company using their verified website or phone number just to confirm. All right, now get this. An expensive pair of Nike shoes found on a shelf in a shelter in Oregon. Oh my gosh, I love this. The gold Air Jordans were designed for filmmaker Spike Lee in 2019 for the Academy Awards, right? Like only 4 or 5 pairs were made, but somehow this one ended up in a donation slot at a Portland rescue mission. The staff notified the shoe's designer, Tinker Hatfield, who personally authenticated the shoe. He also donated a replacement box and frame design proof, both of which he signed in gold. The lot is being auctioned with all of the proceeds going to the mission. Those unique shoes are expected to fetch $10,000 to $20,000 at auction. Wow. A milestone not met in years. Baltimore could finish out the year below 300 homicides. How state leaders plan to build on this momentum. And we're gearing up for temperatures in the 50s this afternoon. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart is tracking the next chance for a little bit of rain. That's ahead in his full weather authority forecast. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News Weekend Edition, all local, all morning.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Glad to have you with us this Saturday morning, 7:30 here, looking live over Towson. And you're in the right spot. We're here at Fox 45, and we're starting off your December 16th in the right way. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's get into your forecast. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart. It looks clear out there, looks calm. Is it going to stay that way is the question.
Well, how about for Saturday it stays that way? All right, right?
I like it.
Not bad. You know, we had a good Friday. We get a good Saturday. 2 out of 3. Not so bad for most weekends. Tomorrow, different story. But you can see the numbers this morning are on the chilly side, but not frigid. We're not like multiple low 20s on the board here. We've got quite a few spots already up in the 30s. And as we go through the course of the day today, these numbers are going to go up pretty nicely. I think we'll end up in the upper 50s with a partly cloudy sky, not much wind, really just a nice Saturday. Anything you have to get done outside, the last second, Christmas decorations, that kind of thing, today is your day. Because once we get past the morning hours tomorrow, we're going to be dealing with this coastal system that is going to be pounding Florida today with heavy rains. That's going to make a run up the coast and definitely bring the rain and the wind to Maryland. Kind of a squeeze play because we've got a boundary to the west, too. So all that moisture coming together over the mid-Atlantic as we kind of go into the day tomorrow. In the meantime, enjoy a nice Saturday in the upper 50s. More on that storm coming up.
Our strategy has been focused. It's been aggressive. We're all on the same page.
This morning, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Maryland and Acting Marshal are sharing their crime-fighting strategies. Right now, homicides and non-fatal shootings are down across the city. And for the first time in years, Baltimore may finish out this year with less than 300 homicides. Our Alexa Ashwell sat down with the U.S. Attorney for the District of Maryland, Eric Barron, and Acting Marshal Matt Silverman for an exclusive interview and has more on their strategies.
Murderers, shooting and carjacking suspects, drug traffickers. For years, the U.S. Marshals Service has been going after Baltimore's most violent criminals. This year, more so than ever.
Our operations have ramped up since the new U.S. Attorney came in.
Acting U.S. Marshal Matt Silverman is talking about Maryland's U.S. Attorney Eric Barron, who back in August 2022 announced new actions his office would take to address the violence in Baltimore. His approach also included requesting the U.S. Marshals Service conduct more raids and warrant sweeps.
Our strategy has been focused. It's been aggressive. We're all on the same page.
We have always done our operations the way that we do our operations, and we've always left it open to the U.S. Attorney to ask for assistance from the Marshal Service to do additional operations.
Those operations, Silverman believes, has contributed to Baltimore's historic reduction in homicides and shootings, the result of the work and partnerships between federal, state, and local agencies.
It's one of the many reasons right now that we are coming up on historic lows for the last many years within Baltimore City.
But of course, challenges remain and hurdles still exist. The federal agency is seeing more cases where the fugitive wanted is a juvenile.
Most recently, we're seeing an extraordinary uptick in violent crime involving juveniles.
Silverman sees it as Baltimore's biggest challenge right now when it comes to the city's crime fight.
Crime-wise, right now in Baltimore City, I would have to say the biggest issue that we're facing is going to be juvenile crimes. Juveniles across this state and across other states, they have that sense of freedom that if they get arrested, nothing's going to happen.
A problem echoed by local police, prosecutors, and the people of Baltimore, calling on lawmakers for change.
Well, many say the drop in homicides coincides with when City State's Attorney Ivan Bates and U.S. Attorney Eric Barron announced their partnership, promising a tougher on crime approach in the city. Well, however, during Mayor Scott's re-election campaign, his announcement, he doubled down on the city leadership role in the decline in gun violence.
Why do you take credit for that?
Because we put in the effort, right?
Some data shows that when Ivan Bates and Eric Barron took office, we began to see
I think that's false data. I love them both dearly. Their cases are made by police officers that work for Brandon Scott, the mayor of Baltimore City. We direct. The arrests are done by us. All the enforcement is done by us.
Now, if you want to learn more about crime-fighting strategies here in Maryland, you can head to our website, foxbaltimore.com. It's really just like another case of devastating deja vu for families investing in the state's prepaid college savings plan. First, their money was frozen. Then it was taken out of their accounts. But following the takeover of the state treasurer's office, those funds were supposed to be paid back in full. However, our Rebecca Pryor reports that's no longer the case for some parents. Take a look.
Yeah, just when they think that they are on the other side of this financial nightmare, there is yet another setback for these struggling families. Now, the state is still agreeing to pay these parents back, but now in some cases, taxes on what was supposed to be a tax-free investment could undermine their settlements. Following desperate pleas to lawmakers.
Only you can fix it.
Countless unanswered questions from agency executives. Why won't you answer our questions? You're just ignoring us. You don't think that these families have a right to know what's going on with their money?
Patty is in there and she's got a statement for you.
So you're not taking questions again?
Correct.
And why aren't you taking questions?
Patty over there has a statement.
The decision to transfer oversight of the state's embattled college savings plan to the state treasurer's office.
I have full confidence in my team that they will be able to do the job.
Was the lifeline Maryland 529 families drowning in debt had been waiting more than a year for.
2 or 3 days ago, I got an email with a settlement offer from Maryland 529.
The state granting Ken Sachs nearly $10,000 in interest earnings that the agency had slashed from his account without warning.
It was pretty much the number I was expecting.
Until further review of the fine print revealing the unexpected. Tax considerations on his tax-free investment.
The crux of the plan was that it was a tax-free plan. I mean, if that's their intent, that would be pretty terrible.
Not only would it shortchange Sachs's settlement,
$3,000 pretty much right off the top.
Taxing these, in many cases, large payouts will push people into another tax bracket, causing a ripple effect of further financial consequences.
Your income goes up by the amount of the earnings. So there's certain phase outs, child tax credits. And then also if you're applying for financial aid, for FAFSA forms, that now goes in as interest. And it's going to be a lump sum payment.
Potentially preventing families from securing financial aid or interest-free loans.
It would have significant repercussions.
Fox 45 sending questions to the treasurer's office, asking how many accounts are affected. Is it fair to tax money Maryland families invested in a tax-free plan? And how will you address this issue? The treasurer's office writing in part, quote, this issue impacts approximately 150 claimants. While the legislation specified that settlements are exempt from state and local taxes, they will be subject to federal taxes.
It would seem to be very easy for them to do the paperwork and make it non-taxable.
What's not easy?
My personal situation, she's in a special needs school.
Making sure Sachs's daughter is receiving the services and resources she needs to be successful.
The tuition burden is quite high, and to have to pay taxes on money, it would just be unfathomable.
Sachs says that the next step is to see if lawmakers will once again step in, with the treasurer's office seemingly offering no new solutions. In the control room, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
These new tax troubles come just one day after Fox 45 learned the executive director of the Maryland 529 program just quietly stepped down from his position last month. Anthony Savia's resignation from the board follows a year of intense scrutiny and controversy for that state agency. In the year Savia was leading the program, account holders criticized him for poor communication and a lack of transparency over the funds missing from their accounts. The state treasurer took over, but that did not bring new leadership, leading to outrage from Maryland families.
You've taken all of the bad decisions that were made prior to taking over, and you're just continuing them. I need this money in order to pay for the fall semester tuition, or else I'm going to be going into debt, and I'm going to see that the state is responsible for that debt.
Savia's last day was November 30th, marking just over a year with the agency. The treasurer's office confirmed his resignation to Fox 45, but declined to comment as to when and why he was asked to step down. A city lawmaker in the hot seat after her treasurer resigns amid questions from Fox 45 News. The slew of campaign violations and the answers we're demanding on your behalf.
Cool start this morning, but on our way to a nice Saturday in the mid-50s around here. But all eyes south as our next weather maker is on the move and headed toward Maryland for Sunday. We'll talk about that right here on Fox 45 Morning News.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the events that are happening in our region today. So starting at 8 this morning, the Marines will be distributing toys to a couple thousand registered families at the Petroleum Liberty Heights Avenue. That goes until 5 o'clock this evening, so get there early. And then also starting at 8 o'clock this morning is the Shop with a Cop event in Baltimore County. Now, these events give kids an opportunity to team up with a member of the police department to help shop for their loved ones. That is happening at Walmart in Cockeysville. Great opportunity to really learn how to embrace law enforcement as well. Also starting at 8, County Police and the Hyundai team are teaming up to provide anti-theft software upgrades to Hyundai owners. Now, it's happening at M&T Bank Stadium. It will go until 2 this afternoon. Get out today as it will be beautiful this Saturday. As for your Sunday, well, the same cannot be said. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart has a look at your next weather maker after the break.
I was surprised by the number of violations.
This morning, Fox 45 News is demanding answers about Delegate Stephanie Smith's campaign finance violations. Now, in the middle of our questioning, the delegate's treasurer is stepping down. Keith Daniels has the details on a story you're seeing first on Fox.
Since first running to represent Northeast Baltimore in the General Assembly, State Delegate Stephanie Smith has racked up a total of 12 campaign finance violations for late filings.
I was surprised at the number of times in the last several years in which the campaign has been late in filing the required disclosure forms and has been fined for it.
According to campaign finance records viewed by Fox 45 News last week, Smith's campaign had 8 late filing violations, leading to more than $7,800 in fines. 5 of those violations were referred to the office of the state prosecutor for further enforcement.
The idea is that it's supposed to, when it works well and when it works as designed, it's supposed to increase voter confidence in the integrity of their public officials.
Fox 45 News began emailing Delegate Smith's campaign demanding answers since last Friday. Questions including, why has the campaign routinely failed to file its reports in a timely manner? What actions will Delegate Smith and the campaign take to follow Maryland campaign law? The campaign has been referred to the Maryland Office of the Special Prosecutor for further review. Does the campaign believe criminal charges may be imposed? Thursday night, Smith's campaign treasurer told Fox 45 News Delegate Smith's campaign account is currently in compliance with the Maryland State Board of Elections. Then, just 24 hours later, that same campaign treasurer told us she resigned as the treasurer for Delegate Smith.
It is surprising since Delegate Smith is a lawyer, is a member of the bar, and therefore presumably is capable of dealing with pretty complex things in a competent way, to allow the campaign to at least have the appearance of such disarray in terms of filing these forms. They're complicated, but it isn't rocket science.
Fox 45 News sent a number of follow-up questions to Delegate Smith asking, why did your campaign treasurer resign from his position? Why does your political campaign seem to be riddled by controversy and mismanagement? What is your message to voters during this turbulent period for your campaign? Are you fully confident in your campaign's financial history and accuracy of its reports? These are the questions we sent. We have not yet heard back on these. All right, let's go ahead and get over to meteorologist Wyatt Everhart with a look at our forecast today. We're looking on up on Saturday, but you can share the rest of that news.
Yeah, look, I mean, let's look at the positive, right? Glass is half full. We've got a great Saturday. It's going to hold up even into this time tomorrow. So first thing Sunday morning looks pretty good. It's just all changes tomorrow afternoon into the day on Monday. You can see 35 right now, BWI. So it's, a chilly start. Not particularly frigid, though. I mean, earlier this week, this map had like teens and low 20s on it. So a little bit less cold to start the day, and on our way to an unseasonably mild afternoon around here. Partly to mostly sunny at times. It'll be a nice mild scenario as we go late into the day around here on your Saturday. Big picture-wise, quiet across Maryland, the Mid-Atlantic. Great travel weather, flying, taking the train, taking the car. You're looking good. Central East Coast today. But tonight and into the day tomorrow, certainly things change. We've got a frontal system to the west. We've got our giant area of coastal low pressure down here in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, sending the rain big time into Florida this morning. That system's going to make it the run up the coast and have its impact around here as we go from tomorrow, particularly tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, into the first part of our Monday. Beyond that, it's just a clearing, colder scenario, maybe with a few flurries into the day on Tuesday. So it's mild, it's dry. We've got high pressure still in control for another day. That's great. This is not so great. Again, major, almost like an unusually strong coastal low for this time of year. And fortunately for us, or unfortunately, depending if you're a snow fan, this system, this time of year, which could produce significant snow on the East Coast, it's not going to happen this time. We just don't have that type of cold air in place or for that system to work with. So as a result, it's rain and it's wind out of the system for us. Certainly rain and some wind down in Florida today. Ugly weather there, making the run up the coast. This is Sunday morning, 8:30. You can see the system really bringing heavy precipitation Atlanta into Charlotte, just south of Maryland. So, looking for that rain to really move in along with the wind tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. Yeah, staying wet around here. And you can see the rain chance stays relatively high into our Monday as well. After that, we go dry, but we drop the temperatures. Give you a little more detail on that here on the 7-day forecast. And again, it's a rain scenario late day Sunday and then into early Monday. Colder, again, a few flakes could fly even with that cold air blasting in Tuesday. So be ready for that. Enjoy the mild stuff while we have it.
All right, well, last season, a fourth quarterback comeback capped off by a late touchdown lifted the Jags over the Ravens. Coming up next on Sports Unlimited, the defense gives its keys to preventing that from happening this time around.
Welcome into your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. Sunday night, the Ravens and Jaguars will meet for the first time since Week 12 of last season. A game the Ravens had won until they didn't. Jacksonville, a touchdown with 14 seconds left, took the lead on a successful two-point conversion. That's what happened in Jacksonville last year. Blown second-half leads were a bit of a trend for the Ravens defense in 2022, and it's something they're trying to keep in the past. Patrick Queen, for one, not trying to have what happened last year happen again. He shares his keys to getting a win, and it starts with keeping Trevor Lawrence and the Jags playmakers in check.
Just doing what we do best, keep the ball in front of us, be able to make tackles in open field. Kid got a great arm. You can see coverages, and the players do a good job once they get the ball in here making plays for him. And Travis is a great back. He can do everything on the field. He can receive. He can run the ball behind the line. He can run behind his pass and stuff. So it's a full-on challenge that we just got to be ready for, honestly.
Well, after practicing all week, safety Kyle Hamilton is being listed as questionable for Sunday Night Football against the Jags. Hamilton, who suffered a knee injury against the Rams, was a limited participant Wednesday and Thursday and practiced in full on Friday. Two players have key injury designations for the Week 15 matchup. Hamilton with a knee and Malik Ham with an ankle are both questionable. A short injury report is a big positive in December. The Los Angeles Chargers have parted ways with head coach Brandon Staley and general manager Tom Telesco after Thursday night's blowout loss to the Raiders. LA, a team that had high hopes entering the season, is just 5-9 on the year and losers of 5 of its last 6 games. JoJo Wooden has been named the team's interim general manager, while Giff Smith has been named the Chargers' interim head coach for the remainder of the 2023 campaign. Navy football has announced a change to the coaching staff following a 5-7 finish to the 2023 campaign. Offensive coordinator Grant Chestnut, who spent 1 season with the Mids, will not return in 2024. As a result, a national search for a new OC will begin immediately. Head coach Brian Newberry saying in a statement, quote, "As the head coach, my job is to constantly evaluate every part of our program, starting with myself and the rest of our staff. Every decision I make is purely about what's best for our program and our players. These decisions can sometimes be very difficult, but are necessary. This is a results-oriented business, and we did not effectively produce on the offensive side of the ball the way we expect or need to. I am grateful for Coach Chestnut's hard work and service to our program over the past year. We wish him and his wonderful family all the best moving forward." In College Park, since dropping 3 straight, the Terps have won 5 of their last 6, and Julian Reese has contributed a ton in that stretch. The junior from St. Francis Academy, he's nearly averaging a double-double with 15.8 points and 9.9 boards. The Maryland big man says he's taken a big step on the court mentally, and that's really helping out his game in year 3.
The mindset thing, I've been doing the same things I did every off season, just working hard every day and getting better at the weaknesses I have. But this offseason is really like a mindset thing and just stepping into that leader role. And I feel like I can up those numbers a little bit more and just impact the team in a better way.
That's going to do it for your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. Thanks for watching, and have a great Saturday.
I haven't seen a bike around here since I've been around.
Who's making certain that for every dollar spent, there is a benefit that is tangible to the taxpayer?
Residents frustrated about new bike lanes this morning. Fox 45 News is taking a closer look at how city leaders are spending your tax dollars. And for many Marylanders, home is where the yard is. And what we're learning about an agreement between the Stadium Authority and the Orioles as it moves forward ahead of a major decision expected on Monday.
And you see the nice sunshine there at Camden Yards. Just a few clouds during the course of the day today, but all eyes on our next weather maker. We'll detail the whole weekend forecast coming up right here on Fox 45 Morning News.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. It is 8 a.m. looking live over Towson, and thanks for joining us for some Saturday morning news and fun. It's Saturday, December 16th already. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's go ahead and talk about your forecast because we had a gorgeous Friday, starting off chilly, but we're in for some good sunshine
Can you believe it's the 16th? I mean, we'll show later in the show, but the 10-day forecast has Christmas Day on it now.
Slow down, Wyatt. Slow down.
Not many shopping days left. I guess that means a lot of us, maybe some of my fellow guys, that we need to get started. You know, that stuff ordered, get it in. You don't want to have to pay for that express shipping if you can avoid it. Hey, look, mid 30s out there this morning. It's a chill in the air, but not the frigid start we've had the last couple mornings. And we're on our way to a pretty nice afternoon around here, above average, into the upper 50s with a mix of sun and clouds. But again, all good things ultimately do come to an end, and as we look further south, we do see that storm system, big coastal low, making the run up the coast and arriving into the Baltimore region, we'll say by lunchtime or so tomorrow. So in the meantime, enjoy a nice Saturday. We'll talk about those changes ahead for Sunday and beyond coming up.
This morning, Fox 45 News is opening the books on just how much bike lanes are costing taxpayers. Many residents say they are frustrated with the bike lanes, complaining that they're just clogging up traffic and making streets less safe. Fox 45's Jeff Abel joins us now with a closer look at the numbers.
On the newly designed Gwynns Falls Parkway, where traffic is now backed up for blocks,
Who's managing the money?
residents who fought to keep 2 lanes of traffic here instead of 1 are now fighting mad.
Who's making certain that for every dollar spent, there is a benefit that is tangible to the taxpayer?
Throughout the city, traffic lanes are being eliminated to accommodate bike lanes. But in places like Harford Road, no one is biking.
How many bikes have you seen? I haven't seen a bike around here since I've been around.
Crews are now redesigning 23 miles of city roadways, ensuring bikers have a lane of their own. Initially, the city projected it would cost up to $6 million, but it turns out the real cost is more than 3 times that much. In documents obtained by Fox 45, the amount of city, state, and federal tax dollars spent on Baltimore's bike lanes so far amounts to $21.1 million. That's enough money to pay for 60 new trash trucks or 5,300 new streetlights.
But I don't think the average person has any idea how much money is being wasted on silly projects that have no impact, no positive impact on the great majority of the people.
And the city is preparing to ramp up its construction of more bike lanes. In another 4 years, the city projects the cost of bike lane construction will soar to $73.3 million.
The average person is going to have a hard time understanding why we aren't rebuilding the important housing stock for people who are already here, and instead we're using money to do bike lanes. It makes no sense at all.
We need the federal government to do what the federal government is supposed to do, and that is to lead and arc.
On Gwynns Falls, residents insist they were never consulted about this roadway design and were never aware that disruption could cost so much.
And the people who are being affected and victimized by these decisions, these arbitrary and capricious spending of dollars, seem to have no voice. We've been ghosted by government.
Fox 45 News has done extensive reporting on bike lanes throughout our region and the impact they're having on residents, drivers, and cyclists. You can find our complete coverage online at foxbaltimore.com. All right, taking you live to Camden Yards this morning as we share some good news for O's fans. Governor Wes Moore announces the long-term agreement between the Maryland Stadium Authority and the Orioles is advancing for approval. That approval is expected to come on Monday. Now, the last 2 weeks have been a whirlwind for this fan base, with conflicting reports on whether or not a new lease agreement between the O's and the Maryland Stadium Authority was in place. The current lease is set to expire December 31st, so this is a huge step in getting a deal done to keep Camden Yards as the Birds' home for the foreseeable future. Governor Moore will be the first to tell you this has taken longer than he would have hoped for. Take a look at the statement he sent us. He says that he's, quote, proud to say that today a long-term agreement between the Maryland Stadium Authority and the Baltimore Orioles is being advanced for approval. He goes on to say, I quote, I know for many of this process, it's been a long, and the team that worked on securing this deal has done so diligently with the best interest of the taxpayer in mind, end quote. Well, joining us live this morning to discuss the ups and downs of what has been a long process surrounding this decision, economist Erban Basu. Good morning to you.
Morning.
So let's talk about this deal. How important is it to Baltimore's economy to make sure that we have the Orioles stay here in Baltimore?
Massively important. I have to tell you, some economists disagree with me. They don't think these stadium deals are good for cities, so on and so forth. You hear a lot from these economists. I think they're wrong. My goodness, many of us remember March of 1984 when the Colts left and how devastating it was to this city. And that was a team that was not a winning team anymore. The Orioles are a winning team, champions of the AL East. And it would have been devastating if they had moved to a Nashville, so on and so forth. That's not going to happen. This is a 30-year lease, though the Orioles have an opt-out in which they can opt out after 15 years if they don't gain those development rights around the stadium. And that's been the holdup in these negotiations, or the principal holdup have been those negotiations around development rights around the stadium.
So right, there's been a lot of back and forth, and that's really been the sticking point in this deal, is giving the team's owner a ground lease to develop the land around Camden Yards, which is owned by taxpayers. What is your take on that? Is that something taxpayers should be concerned about, excited about? How should we be looking at this?
I think the taxpayers should be excited, because what we're talking about is taking underutilized parcels around the stadium and actually developing them. It hasn't happened yet. The Orioles are saying we want to develop this. And by the way, if the Orioles generate more revenues from development around the stadium, guess what? Maybe they have the resources to re-sign an Adley Rutschman, a Gunnar Henderson, a Jackson Holliday, to make sure the Orioles are competitive for the next decade, 12 years, whatever it happens to be. You can see what the LA Dodgers are doing. Shohei Ohtani and that massive contract the Yankees are doing with the trade for Juan Soto. The Orioles have to keep up. And if the economics around the stadium allow the Orioles to keep up, that's good for fans, of course. It's good for the Orioles, but it's also good for taxpayers. Why? Because more economic activity translates into more tax revenues.
So I guess when it comes to that redevelopment of Camden Yards, what do you think should be included in that to attract more visitors?
Well, it's a tourist experience, isn't it? We were talking about visitation. So you want to give people more things to do, more experiences around the stadium. And that could be restaurants, that could be stores, it can be all kinds of things. But I'm very excited by this because, my goodness, you're also talking about the proximity of M&T Bank Stadium. There is redevelopment set for the Inner Harbor. So there's some real momentum right now in downtown Baltimore. A lot of people talk about downtown Baltimore not being as active as it once was, and that perhaps is true. But we seem to be moving in the right direction in terms of bringing life back to downtown Baltimore.
Well, we'll have to see what the final details are of this deal come Monday. Dr. Erban Basu, Sage Policy Group and economist, thank you for joining us this morning. Well, we've got an update this morning on a new scam targeting homeowners, how you can protect yourself. The impact of the degenerative and deadly brain disease, CTE, is triggered by head trauma, including concussions. It's been well documented in former NFL players. Well, now, startling new research finds you don't have to be a professional football player to be at risk. Spotlight on America's Dwayne Pullman has the story.
This is the letter that he left on his bed.
For Brenda Easter, these words from her son's last letter are all she has left to hold.
He said, thank
you
all for wanting to help.
But I can't be helped. Love, Zach.
Zach was a star linebacker at a high school outside Des Moines, Iowa.
He loved every minute of it.
Zach played a lot of minutes, beginning with full contact football in 3rd grade.
I can tell you that by 6th grade, he started having some severe, migraines, sensitivity to light.
It got worse. Brenda says he suffered repeated hits to his head. Back-to-back concussions in his senior year forced Zach to hang up his uniform for good.
That was the end of his career. I wish it would have ended sooner.
Football was over, but the effects from all those brain traumas were just beginning. Even as he served in the Army, Zach began to silently suffer.
He hid it very well.
On his 24th birthday, Zach could hide it no more, confessing during dinner with his parents that he was in real trouble.
He goes, I'm struggling. I'm having memory loss, blurred vision, slurred speech. He blanks out at times.
What was your reaction?
We just sat there and I cried.
Zach began to unravel, and endless doctor visits gave no clarity.
It wasn't till the very end where he was starting to ask the doctors, is this because of my concussions?
Brenda says Zach suspected he was suffering from chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, a degenerative and deadly brain disease similar to Alzheimer's, brought on by repeated brain injuries, including concussions. After years of undeniable proof of CTE's impact on pro football players, the landscape of the NFL began to change. But young athletes like Zach were not yet being considered, and the only way to confirm CTE is to examine the brain after death.
Towards the end, he had said to me, Mom, there's no hope for me. I want my brain donated to science.
In 2015, the week before Christmas, Zach ended his agony with a shotgun at a nearby park.
Our hearts were broken.
Brenda honored Zach's wish, sending his brain to a top lab in California, which confirmed Zach suffered from CTE.
It confirmed what he already believed, and he had no doubt.
That's a brain. That's a human
That's a
brain?
half a brain, right.
At the Unite Brain Bank in Boston, Dr. Ann McKee, director of neuropathology at VA Boston Healthcare System and a pioneer in CTE research, invited us inside for a look. 1,400 and some brains?
About 1450.
And to discuss her latest groundbreaking study, which reveals a startling number of CTE cases in young athletes.
We have kids that are coming in with brain damage, and that brain damage is significant.
Dr. McKee and her team examined the brains of 152 people, all under the age of 30. Most of them had played football, soccer, hockey, and other sports only at the high school and college levels. 63 tested positive for CTE. That's 41%. The youngest brain confirmed with CTE came from a 17-year-old.
What was your reaction when you saw a 17-year-old with CTE?
There's no way I can look at this and not be completely horrified.
And her study identified the first American female athlete with CTE, a 28-year-old soccer player.
I think there are many women at risk for CTE.
All the CTE cases, Dr. McKee says, are preventable.
I need to speak for these families who've had this terrible tragedy that I know didn't have to happen.
Meanwhile, Brenda Easter is pleading with all parents to consider whether head collisions and concussions are too high a price to pay for continuing to play a game.
There's no need for you to continue doing something that may continue to harm your brain. Think about the future.
For Spotlight on America, I'm Dwayne Pullman.
Well, Dr. McKee says all contact sports need to do as much as they can to reduce head trauma. You can read Dr. McKee's study and learn more about Brenda Easter on foxbaltimore.com. All righty, let's go ahead and get back into the forecast. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart with what we're working with right now. Looking lovely over Camden Yards this morning.
Yeah, I mean, really nice start to the weekend here, Taylor. We had kind of a nice start even Friday going into the weekend. And today, much the same. Bright conditions this morning. A chill in the air to be sure, but not a pronounced chill by mid-December standards. We were way down to low 20s and teens earlier this week this time in the morning. So this is not so bad. 34, above freezing at least. And most spots around Baltimore are now above that freezing mark. Through the day today, expect a decent warm-up with that sunshine around as we go back into the upper 50s. You know, yesterday we actually touched 60 out at BWI. Maybe we could get there again late this afternoon. It's going to be very similar. Things will not be similar on Sunday. I can assure you of that. Big changes ahead. As we look west, we've got a boundary sliding east. That's a cold front. And south of us is our main weather maker. This coastal storm really intensifying over the last 24 hours. Going to soak Florida today. Just a nasty day down there. And as this system runs up the coast into the Carolinas tonight and tomorrow, it heads into Maryland as we go into tomorrow afternoon. So such a nice start to the weekend and such kind of an ugly finish with rain and wind around here. Significant amounts of rain and wind Sunday night right on into the day on Monday. After that, it's a clearing and colder scenario midweek. Right now, completely clear for travelers up and down the East Coast until you get down into Florida, where again that system's already making its impact, soaking Tampa all the way down toward like Marco Island. And that coastal low, again, strengthening here as we go forward in time as it begins to run up through the Carolinas. This is Sunday, first thing in the morning, 8:30. Maryland just under the clouds at that point. A lot of rain from Virginia south. That will all overspread Maryland as we go throughout the day on Sunday. So certainly a wet weather and windy scenario on the way tomorrow. And that will linger into the first part of the day Monday. You got early Monday travel plans. Be prepared. Wind and rain still in the mix. Beyond that, we do clear things out and turn colder as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week.
All right, sounds good. Now, we're learning more this morning about what evidence might be presented to a jury in Marilyn Mosby's second trial. Next month, Mosby will be tried again on those two perjury charges. That was her first back in November, rather. Next month's trial deals with the two federal mortgage fraud charges she's facing. Her team's asking the judge to allow external communication to be admitted, including conversations from Nick Mosby, indicating he was the one who applied for the loan to pay off the tax lien on the former couple's home. That lien is at the center of this case. Prosecutors are asking the judge not to allow that evidence to be brought forward in court. You can find more on the new filings on our website, foxbaltimore.com. As Maryland residents grow more frustrated with rising crime, congressional candidate David Trone stopped by to outline his plans to improve public safety. Hear from that in just a few. And over $400 million, that is the cost being dumped on customers following a recent rate hike proposal from BGE. More on the details after the break. Developing this morning, the Maryland Public Service Commission has given BGE the green light to raise your rates every year for the next 3 years. Let's break down the numbers here. Over the next 3 years, rates will go up to the tune of $408 million. That's still less than the $603 million increase that was proposed from BGE. However, as you can see what that means for you, the PSC claims that in 2024, electric customers can expect to see their bills go up a little more than $4 each month, while gas customers will see a $10 a month increase. Those increases do go down slightly over the next 2 years, though. In total, if you get both gas and electric from BGE, by 2026, you'll be paying about $22 in addition each month.
We've talked about like moving to Delaware, and a lot of people that I know, family members, have considered moving from Baltimore because the taxes just keep going up and up, it seems like, on everything.
We're retired, and so it's tough, and everybody wants more money all the time. And, you know, it's just not fair. You can only get so much blood out of a turnip. It's just, sometimes there just isn't any more.
Those increases are set to take effect at the start of next month. A Maryland delegate under fire for campaign finance violations. Now that delegate's treasurer stepping down in the middle of our investigation. What this means for Stephanie Smith, that story coming up after the break. And we're in for a nice day today with temps in the 50s, but what will Sunday bring? Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart breaks it down right after the break. Stick with us here at Fox 45 Morning News Weekend Edition, all local, all morning.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Coming up on 8:30 right now, and you can see it's a gorgeous day in our Charm City. Thanks for being with us here on this Saturday, December 16th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's talk about what we need to know. Your forecast. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart with what's in store for this Saturday. I see some chilly temps on your radar.
Yeah, I mean, a little chilly to start things off, right, Taylor? But the sun is out, and we're on our way to a good warm-up today, much like we had yesterday for Friday afternoon. 39 now in Annapolis, 37 in Denton, and we've got 34 at BWI. These numbers set to warm up a solid 20-plus degrees today, though. Ultimately, we should end in the upper 50s or so. Some spots around Maryland, maybe like downtown Baltimore, could touch 60 briefly this afternoon. However, Unfortunately, the party will end in terms of the mild weather and sunshine. We've got coastal storm system really strengthening down here in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, already hitting Florida, getting ready to run up the coast in our direction, making its impact felt in Maryland tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, right into early Monday. But in the meantime, enjoy it. We've got 50s and sunshine. Much more on that storm and the detailed extended forecast just a few minutes away.
I was surprised by the number of violations.
This morning, Fox 45 News is learning more about Delegate Stephanie Smith's campaign finance violations. Now, in the middle of our questioning, the delegate's treasurer has apparently stepped down. Keith Daniels has the story on you're seeing first on Fox.
Since first running to represent Northeast Baltimore in the General Assembly, State Delegate Stephanie Smith has racked up a total of 12 campaign finance violations for late filings.
I was surprised at the number of times in the last several years in which the campaign has been late in filing the required disclosure forms and has been fined for it.
According to campaign finance records viewed by Fox 45 News last week, Smith's campaign had 8 late filing violations, leading to more than $7,800 in fines. 5 of those violations were referred to the office of the state prosecutor for further enforcement.
The idea is that it's supposed to, when it works well and when it works as designed, it's supposed to increase voter confidence in the integrity of their public officials.
Fox 45 News began emailing Delegate Smith's campaign demanding answers since last Friday. Questions including, why has the campaign routinely failed to file its reports in a timely manner? What actions will Delegate Smith and the campaign take to follow Maryland campaign law? The campaign has been referred to the Maryland Office of the Special Prosecutor for further review. Does the campaign believe criminal charges may be imposed? Thursday night, Smith's campaign treasurer told Fox 45 News Delegate Smith's campaign account is currently in compliance with the Maryland State Board of Elections. Then, just 24 hours later, that same campaign treasurer told us she resigned as the treasurer for Delegate Smith.
It is surprising since Delegate Smith is a lawyer, is a member of the bar, and therefore presumably is capable of dealing with pretty complex things in a competent way, to allow the campaign to at least have the appearance of such disarray in terms of filing these forms. They're complicated, but you know, it isn't rocket science.
Well, Fox 45 News sent a number of follow-up questions to Delegate Smith asking the following. Why did your campaign treasurer resign from his position? Why does your political campaign seem to be riddled by controversy and mismanagement? What is your message to voters during this turbulent period for your campaign? And are you fully confident in your campaign's financial history and the accuracy of its reports? We've not yet heard back.
We determined whether this was an adult or a minor.
The call said he was 16.
He's 16.
Those words heard over police radios in the city's northern district Thursday as a teen suffered a gunshot wound. Baltimore police say that 16-year-old suffered a non-life-threatening injury, but it's this incident that's fueling even more concern surrounding the juvenile crime crisis. Our Amy Simpson has more on that brazen midday shooting that's left a community on edge.
After 2 p.m. Thursday afternoon.
The event has been discharged by on West 1st Street in South Road from Unison Road.
Broad daylight in North Baltimore's Medfield neighborhood. This was the scene after police say a 16-year-old boy was hit by gunfire, a stone's throw from both TV Hill and the busy Green Spring Tower Square shopping center along 41st Street.
We determined whether this was an adult or a minor.
The call said he was 16.
He's 16.
Northern District Radio Communications revealing the back and forth between dispatch and officers on scene.
We got 2 guys.
Shot wounds, one to his looks like left hand, and one to his left back area.
As police put up crime scene tape and investigators searched for evidence, neighbors watched from their porches.
It's extremely disturbing. It's not a shock to me. I mean, more recently in this neighborhood, maybe more shocking because the neighborhood has changed a lot in the last 3 decades.
But just 6 weeks ago, about a block away, in the same Medfield neighborhood,
They were young, really young kids. I could tell they were young. In reverse, back and shooting.
this man told Fox 45 News he witnessed brazen gunfire and a car chase in the middle of a weekday.
And he was just like this, pow, pow, pow.
Though police said the reports of gunfire were unfounded, this man blamed kids as neighbors responded cleaning up the aftermath.
It's crazy. These juveniles are out of control. Something's got to be done.
This Medfield man also among the chorus of people who are saying they don't feel safe in their own neighborhood.
It's scary. It's scary to even walk the streets at nighttime, go to the store. It's scary. It really is. People getting robbed, carjacked. It's enough's enough. So it's got to be a change.
Here in Medfield, neighbors told Fox 45 News it happened as students were seen walking home. But no answer when we asked Baltimore City Schools if that 16-year-old is a student at the nearby Academy for College and Career Exploration. Meantime, neighbors quick to assume Thursday's gunfire, another case of teen-on-teen violence.
I'm imagining it's probably another teenager that shot him with some kind of beef.
But also questioning why.
I think that's sad. You know, I mean, what reason is there to shoot a 16-year-old boy?
Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
If you feel like your juvenile crime concerns are not being heard, go ahead and reach out to your lawmakers. House Speaker Adrian Jones and Senate President Bill Ferguson, these are two of the most powerful voices in Annapolis. Their phone numbers and email addresses are listed on your screen. Well, Fox 45 News is hosting our town hall on public safety just next week. We invite you to join us there. City Councilman Eric Costello and mayoral candidate Sheila Dixon will be on our panel. This takes place on Wednesday, December 20th at 7 p.m. at Leiden Hall Baptist Church. Come out and meet us there. A virus outbreak causing an increase in price to a popular breakfast staple. How much more you can expect to pay coming up. All right, some witty writing back there.
I know, eggflation. You got to watch out for it. It'll get you every time. Hey, through the day today, temperatures running into the upper 50s, so nice sunshine. Things change dramatically, though, for Sunday afternoon. We're going to have those details coming up in just a few.
Well, election season, it is right around the corner. And besides Baltimore's mayoral election, the race to replace U.S. Senator Ben Cardin is certainly one to watch. During our 4 p.m. show yesterday, we spoke with Congressman David Trone, who's running in the Democratic primary. He shared his ideas on how to handle the ongoing crime crisis we're seeing in Maryland and the steps he would like Congress to take.
We've got to all keep talking about the crime issues that plague our country. And one of the first things we got to work on is those folks that are coming back out of being incarcerated. I've worked hard on this in Congress, and we've got a number of bills that have moved over the finish line, like Pell Grants, allowing our returning citizens that were incarcerated to get an education. If we get them an education and we get them a job, we have success. And that's how we're going to have a safer community, because when folks come out of prison with a job, recidivism's 8%. If they don't have a job, it's 75%, and we're less safe. So we've got to get jobs to move forward.
Well, a recent poll from Hickman Analysis found David Trone to be leading the primary stage among Democratic voters. According to the poll, 55% of voters have a favorable opinion of Trone. 49% have a favorable opinion of Trone's top opponent, Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks. Well, you better get out while you can and enjoy the clear parts of your weekend before Sunday turns into a showery mess. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart is tracking the forecast just after the break. And look, it's never too early for Miss Shirley's. After the break, the executive chef Zuri Coles joins us with how to make a classic breakfast staple with a holiday twist. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local. All good. All good. Okay, what a better way to celebrate Christmas morning than with some pancakes, but with a twist, a local twist. Get this. Take a look at the spread on your screen right now, and let me introduce you to the two women who've come together to make this happen. All right, so let's talk about this. We've got Miss Shirley's in the buildings. We've got Getz Candy in the building as well. And you guys are teaming up to really do something special for the holidays.
Yes, we're super excited. We always do monthly specials. December's always fun with the holidays, and we were super excited to team up with the Getz family to bring you some fun reindeer tracks pancakes.
Ooh, and I want to talk about this, but I may eat this, so I don't want to jump in too quickly. Okay. But this is kind of the spread that you guys have for the holidays right now.
Yes, so just for the month of December, we have a gingerbread cookie, stuffed cheesecake, French toast, and then we have a French dip, roast beef sandwich with a beef au jus, So, you know, treat yourself for the holidays and come into Miss Shirley's.
Absolutely.
And then the star of our show, the Reindeer Tracks Pancakes. It has a little bit of everything. Have to feed the reindeer and yourself.
Right. That's Emily. Tell me a bit about what you guys brought to the table with this amazing, succulent-looking pancake that should be in my stomach already. Go ahead.
Yes, so cowtails are decadent caramel wrapped around a cream center.
Okay.
And our brownie flavor came out in 2019 as a limited edition, but we've released it again full time. So that's what we see encompassed here in this sweet treat.
Oh my goodness, can you imagine waking up and having this with the kids and the family? I mean, Santa might come and take that beforehand if you put it out. But you guys are really coming together. The thing that's nice about this is it's Baltimore-based businesses. You guys are coming together during the holidays and doing this really special a treat. And it's a way for folks to really get the flavors of our city, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
It was super exciting. We love teaming with the Getz family.
Absolutely. So tell me, what is your favorite part about the pancake? And say the full title of it, if you don't mind.
Yes, the Getz's Cowtail or Caramel Brownie Cowtail Reindeer Tracks Pancake. It's a long name.
Mouthful, just like the
what's
treat.
inside.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, you know what? Can we try?
Yeah,
Can we taste a little bit?
Sure.
Here you go.
Oh, thank you.
We're just gonna hop in and just have a little bite of that pancake.
You know, marshmallows, pretzels, more chocolate, drizzle, and of course, brownie cowtails.
Say someone wanted to try this at home.
So good.
It may not end up this way, but they can.
Yeah, you can add whatever you like in there. You can not do chocolate chips or pretzels and just keep it brownie cowtails and some marshmallows. But yeah, get the family and the kids involved, and it's super fun.
Okay, so grab the cowtails, right?
Yes.
Grab the marshmallows,
Yeah.
grab the pretzels, grab the chocolate, or
whatever you have.
Grab your spouse, grab your kids, and head over to Miss Shirley's, right?
Yes.
So good.
So just for the month of December, all 3 locations, downtown, in the Inner Harbor, in Roland Park, and in Annapolis.
So we're done December 31st?
December 31st, you gotta come out.
The time is ticking, the clock is running down, you guys. And I really can't say much more about this because I'm going to just eat it right now. We want to get over to meteorologist Wyatt Everhart because, you know, Wyatt will maybe save you some. Maybe. Maybe.
That, I don't know. I'll tell you what, though, the cowtail factor there. I mean, it's just
it's a game changer.
It's a nice combination. We've got a nice combination weather-wise overall this weekend, I would say. I mean, today we've got the sunshine. We've got upper 50s on tap, but all things will change as we go into Sunday around here. Let's see if I can skip past this particular graphic here. I think we... There we go. So come out to the wider view. You can kind of see that system continuing to work its way up the coast, and that's going to be our story as we kind of go forward in time. Right now, we've got a lot of sunshine. Temperatures in the low to mid 30s out there. 41 in the city now, and again, these numbers are going to quickly be pushing through the 30s and 40s into the 50s later on today. So that's going to feel pretty nice out there. You can kind of see that peak timing for warmth, if you will, between about 2 and 4 o'clock today. So take the dogs on an extra long walk. You know, anything you got to do outside, today is your day. Maybe get a few extra Christmas decorations up. We're just 10 days away from the big holiday at this point, of course. Take a look at the overall setup here. Again, we've got weather to the west toward Chicago, the country's midsection, but the main weather maker is our area of coastal low pressure running into Florida now that's going to be making its run up the coast over the next 24 hours here. So by tomorrow afternoon, it's a whole different game on the weather front. Coastal storm impacts for Maryland Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, and right into the first half of our Monday before we clear things out and turn colder toward the middle part of next week. So the pleasant high pressure and quiet weather we've had, all about the change. It's already changed down here in the U.S. southeast because this coastal system already slamming Florida with some very heavy rains there. Not exactly the sunshine state today. Those rains will continue to move out of Florida and into the Carolinas as we go from tonight into early Sunday. But if you look carefully here early in the day on Sunday, that system is still just south of Maryland, Virginia. So our main chances for rain, you got a little window of time if you got some things to do outside Sunday morning. After that, by midday into the afternoon, evening, all downhill. Rain and wind will be the effects primarily. Just don't have the cold air in place to make this a winter weather maker, but it will be a wet weather maker. No question about that. So high rain chances Sunday, Monday, before we go drier into the middle part of next week. And there's that change temperature-wise. If you like the mild stuff, don't enjoy it while we have it because we do turn much colder. Maybe even some snow flurries flying around here Tuesday into the day on a Wednesday. Back to you.
Okay, just ahead, the surprising donation made to an Oregon mission shelter. And the actual price of this product will shock you. Stick ahead with us. In your consumer news, a new Moody's Analytics report finds Americans are not keeping up with their monthly credit card bills nor their car loan payments. Now, data shows credit card balances in the third quarter went up by 4.7%. Auto loan balances went up by almost 1%. Now, the spike in delinquencies comes in the middle of the Fed's interest hike campaign. Meanwhile, a major egg producer says an avian flu outbreak in Kansas affected about 1.6% of its total flock. Meanwhile, a report from the USDA shows outbreaks of bird flu have hit dozens of commercial egg producers and could cause another spike in the cost of eggs. The agency reports regional large egg prices are at about $2.06 a dozen wholesale, but holiday demand could also affect that price. In other consumer news, about 3,000 air fryers are being recalled for potential burn hazards. About 3,019 Power XL dual basket air fryers from Empower brands have been taken off shelves. Consumers are urged to stop using these air fryers and contact Empower brands for a full refund. Well, as you prepare for Christmas and send out all those holiday gifts, the Federal Trade Commission is warning of shipping scams. The FTC says scammers are sending fake invoices and shipping messages to get your personal information. They say scammers will send shoppers messages claiming that they missed delivery attempts, and in order to receive that package, you have to click on a link to reschedule it. Consumers should not do that. They shouldn't respond, according to the FTC. Do not respond to the message nor the invoice for the items if you have not ordered them. If the message seems real, though, contact the shipping company using their verified website or phone number to go ahead and confirm. Okay, get this, a very expensive pair of Nike shoes found on a shelf in a shelter inside Oregon. The gold Air Jordans were designed for filmmaker Spike Lee for the 2019 Academy Awards. Only about 4 or 5 pairs were ever made, but one of them somehow ended up in a donation slot at the Portland Rescue Mission. Well, the staff there notified the shoes designer, Tinker Hatfield, who personally authenticated them. He also donated a replacement box and a frame design proof, both of which He signed in gold. The lot is being auctioned with all the proceeds going to Mission. Get this, these shoes are expected to fetch $10,000 to $20,000 at auction. Those are some expensive shoes. Well, nothing like that here in America's Steals and Deals. Take a look.
The following segment is sponsored by Knocking.
It is so unfortunate that 1 in 3 women will be assaulted in their lifetime, and that is a very scary statistic. And that's why I love Bling Sting, because you can feel safe and look fashionable all at the same time. And I insist that both my daughters carry this pepper spray because it's maximum strength, and it has a 12-foot direct range. It also has a UV marking device that stains the target for up to 48 hours, which is really helpful for police to identify the attacker. That is really, really unique. And all it takes is one quick spray in the assailant's face to make them stop. It's also portable and it's easy to conceal, which I just did if you don't want anybody to see it. And they come in all these bright colors. They've got camo too, so many patterns that you can pick your style. And you can clip it anywhere, like you can clip it to your backpack, you can belt loop, purse, wherever. And you know, this product gives me peace of mind, knowing I'm protecting my daughters and myself. And right now, this is really, really great. We are offering 25% off the Bling Sting pepper spray. So head to asadeals.com for this exclusive offer. They're gonna go fast, so you wanna get this right away.
We want to have real meaningful solutions that will make our community safer.
New plans in the works to fight juvenile crime statewide. How 2 top prosecutors are going after gangs they say are responsible. And get ready to pay more to heat your home. What the PSC's decision means for your BGE bill.
All right, and at least we won't need to run the heater too much this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the 50s under partly sunny skies, but next weather maker, a storm already on the way. We'll have those details.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, This is Fox 45 Morning News.
Well, we're looking live over Towson this morning on December 16th. It's a Saturday. Kick up your feet, grab the coffee, join us here. And thanks for being with us. I'm Taylor Stewart. It's time to start with your forecast. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart with what we're working with this Saturday. Starting off a little chilly, but we're in for some sunshine.
I like the idea of the hot steaming cup of Java this morning, but this afternoon, maybe a nice coffee even, because we're going to be like in the upper 50s around here. Not so bad. 36 now, Chestertown, 42, Baltimore, 42, and North Beach as well. The numbers are going to quickly push up from the 40s into the even upper 50s later on today. So unseasonably mild once again, much like our Friday. However, there are some changes on tap as we go forward in time. I'll try to say it right this time. Our next weather maker brewing down here in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, already sending in big rain to Florida, and this is going to run up the coast and send some big rain in our direction here in Maryland by tomorrow afternoon. So we're going to detail much more on this system coming up in a couple minutes.
We are fighting for our families, we're fighting for ourselves, of course the larger community as well, but we understand the issues facing people in our community, and we want to have real meaningful solutions that will make our community safer.
Well, two of Maryland's top prosecutors are hoping to make additions to a current state statute they believe will lead to fewer carjackings. It comes as Fox 45 continues to hear from residents' concerns about the juvenile crime crisis in their communities. This morning, our Vincent Hill is taking a closer look at the new legislation proposed by State Attorney Ivan Bates and Aisha Braveboy.
A united front by the state's attorney of Baltimore City.
What could we do united to, hopefully fix the problems that we're suffering together?
In Prince George's County.
We want to have real meaningful solutions that will make our community safer.
Ivan Bates and Aisha Braveboy proposing several bills for the next legislative session, including.
We want to expand the organized crime statute so that the statute really reflects what we're seeing on the streets.
To go after carjackers. Currently, under Maryland statute, a person is guilty if they knowingly direct a juvenile to commit a crime for what is considered an organized criminal organization. Currently, carjacking is not considered in that definition.
What we're really seeing are crews or more loosely associated or affiliated individuals becoming organized to commit certain types of offenses, in particular carjackings.
The proposed bill would look to make carjacking and those who benefit from it organized.
A lot of what we're seeing now are more sophisticated operations involving multiple levels of people who are benefiting from this type of crime.
This year in Prince George's County, 488 carjackings, up 77% from this time last year. In Baltimore City,
carjacking and auto theft arrest of juveniles. Year to date, 234.
522 carjackings. Of the 234 juveniles arrested, 66 of them repeat offenders, sometimes using violence. Bates and Braveboy say getting the proposal passed would bring down those numbers.
I think one of the things you see criminal organizations able to use juveniles and to say, hey, nothing's going to happen to you in the first place, so we're going to direct you to do that type of behavior. We want to make sure that child is treated as a child and protected from some of the individuals that will prey on them because of the laws.
Well, Bates and Braveboy are proposing a number of changes to the way the state handles juvenile crime. Right, they want to increase the probation for kids who have guns and who steal cars. They also want DJS to immediately notify the courts when a young person is on home monitoring and violates that agreement. Now, Ivan Bates wants to change the Child Interrogation Protection Act. The law requires an attorney to approve law enforcement questioning of a juvenile, even if a parent gives an okay. Bates wants to change that law, requiring an attorney to be present during the questioning. The prosecutors acknowledge there likely will not be any changes to the Juvenile Justice Reform Act, which prevents kids 13 years old or younger from facing most charges. Despite that, they say they're confident other changes will be successful this upcoming session.
Do you think there'll be support and appetite to make these changes in the General Assembly?
I think so. I think that a lot of the topics that we're hitting on are near and dear to many of our legislators, And they should be, because they're near and dear to our constituents.
At the end of the day, we serve the people. And this isn't just what we want. This is what the people have told us they want.
Well, Bates and Brave Boy are just two of more than a dozen top prosecutors across Maryland calling for changes to the juvenile justice system. They say current laws leave their hands tied and allow young people to act without fear of consequences.
So what we're realizing when we talk to the young people is that young people, the juveniles, know there's nothing that we can do.
We can't charge them. I mean, essentially, if they are found to have committed the crime, the police have to drive them home. I mean, that's really all we can do.
We can only hope that they'll not listen to just folks like me or my 23 colleagues across the state or the chief prosecutors in our counties, but hopefully they'll listen to their citizens, because their citizens are saying the exact same thing. Enough's enough.
On Monday, Senate President Bill Ferguson will have a town hall to address juvenile crime and public safety in Baltimore. DJS Secretary Vincent Giraldi will be a part of this. He said he doesn't believe anyone under 25 should be exposed to the criminal justice system. While the governor has called the DJS Secretary a reformer, others say his views make Maryland less safe.
You're basically saying up until the age of 25, which is what he wants to do, you get a free ride.
Unfortunately, legislators, lawmakers, have decided that it's better to support the lawbreakers rather than those who are enforcing the law.
Well, Fox 45 News will be at Monday's town hall to hold your elected leaders accountable for the crime crisis. We'll keep you updated here on air and online. Well, this morning we are learning more about what evidence might be presented to the jury in Marilyn Mosby's second trial next month. Mosby was found guilty of 2 perjury charges in her first trial back in November. Next month's trial deals with the 2 federal mortgage fraud charges she's facing. Mosby's team is asking the judge to allow external communication to be admitted. That includes conversations from Nick Mosby indicating he was the one who applied for the loan to pay off the tax lien on the former couple's home. That lien is at the center of this case. Prosecutors are asking the judge not to allow that evidence to come forward in court. You can find more on the latest filings on our website, foxbaltimore.com. For the first time in years, Baltimore City may see fewer than 300 homicides. What federal leaders are saying about the drop in gun violence.
And we got a nice day on the way for you. Into the 50s we'll go this afternoon with some sunshine around here. Just the opposite as we go into Sunday afternoon. We're talking big time rain from our next coastal storm. Those details coming up.
Developing this morning, the Maryland Public Service Commission has given BGE the green light to raise your tax rates every year for the next 3 years, okay? Let's break down the cost, okay? Over the next 3 years, rates will be heating up to the tune of $408 million. That's still less than the $603 million in rate increases that BGE was proposing. However, this is what that means for you. The PSC claims in 2024, electric customers can expect to see their bills go up a little bit more than $4 a month, while gas customers will see a $10 a month increase. Those increases do go down slightly over the next 2 years, though. In total, though, if you get both gas and electric from BGE, by 2026, you'll be paying about $22 more a month.
We've talked about like moving to Delaware, and a lot of people that I know, family members, have considered moving from Baltimore because the taxes just keep going up and up, it seems like, on everything.
We're retired, and so it's tough, and everybody wants more money all the time. And, you know, it's just not fair. You can only get so much blood out of a turnip. It's just, sometimes there just isn't any more.
Well, those increases are set to take effect at the start of next month.
A struggle over a gun on the streets of Baltimore ends in a shooting. I'm Alexa Ashwell. On Maryland's Most Wanted, how this victim turned into the suspect and now a fugitive.
Two men struggle over a gun. One is shot and later arrested, but it's his escape from police custody that brings us to Alexa Ashwell with this week's Maryland's Most Wanted.
Investigators say this man, Jerome Good, was shot with his own gun during a fight with another man and told police he was armed in the first place because he had been the victim of intimidation for months. But once in custody, investigators say Good escaped. The U.S. Marshals Service now joining the search.
November 1st, 2023, downtown Baltimore. Two men get into an argument outside of a liquor store. One of them identified as 33-year-old Jerome Good.
Good pulled out a firearm.
Investigators say Good pulls out a gun, and there's a struggle over the weapon. Suddenly, a gunshot.
The firearm went off, and Good was shot.
Good had been shot with his own gun. The other man flees, and Good is taken to a local hospital with wounds to his hand and foot. There, he tells police he was armed in self-defense and had been the victim of intimidation for quite some time. Good is later released from the hospital, but the encounter far from over. Fast forward 4 weeks, November 29th, 2023. Good reports to the Parole and Probation Office. Due to a prior incident, he's required to register on Baltimore's gun offender registry.
So Mr. Good was required to go down to parole and probation and re-register for firearms-related incidents.
But once inside, officers realize Good has a warrant for his arrest on gun charges from the incident earlier in the month. His hand still bandaged from the shooting. Good is placed in a different type of handcuff.
They used flex cuffs because Mr. Good still had some stitching and bandages on his arm.
Good, taking advantage of the officer's consideration, manages to slip out of his flex cuffs. And according to investigators, when the timing was right, made a break for it, running out of a back exit.
Mr. Good was able to run towards the back of probation and parole and exit through a emergency exit.
And while Good hasn't been seen since, investigators say he later contacted his parole officer and made a statement they say adds a level of desperation to his profile.
That conversation, Good stated that he will not be turning himself in and will not be going back to jail. In my 20-plus year law enforcement career, when somebody says they are not going to go back to jail, they are going to do just that by any means possible, evade or take matters into their own hands.
In addition to gun offenses, investigators say Good has prior arrests for theft, burglary, and drug possession, as well as a history of violating his probation. Good, the U.S. Marshal Service warns, likely armed and unpredictable.
We need to get this violent offender off the streets. Good is obviously carrying a firearm.
Investigators do believe Good is still somewhere here in the Baltimore region, so take a good look. He's described as standing at about 5'11" and weighing approximately 165 pounds. If you have any information regarding his whereabouts, you're asked to contact the U.S. Marshal Service with the tip line number 1-877-WANTED-2 or contact agents directly 202-819-5058. Remember, you can always remain anonymous and you could earn a reward. I'm Alexa Ashwell, and this is Maryland's Most Wanted.
Okay, let's get over to the forecast. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart with a sunny Saturday ahead of us.
Taylor, you called it. I mean, sunglasses all day long, right?
Love
we like
it.
that. Upper 50s, we like that for the most part. But that all changes tomorrow, so get out there today. Take it in. Get those dogs on the extra long walk. Get the kids out on the playground. Temperatures today in the low 40s now, on their way to the mid-50s this afternoon. So it's a fairly chilly looking Maryland state map first thing this morning with some 30s on the board, but rest assured as we work through the next several hours, we're going to warm up pretty dramatically with a good amount of sunshine breaking through the clouds. Not much wind to speak of either today. That will change tomorrow, but today just calm and mostly sunny and mostly very nice into the mid and upper 50s around here through the afternoon. So the quiet weather we have in Maryland and the mid-Atlantic now sets the stage for great travel weather today, but not tomorrow, because we've got a significant coastal storm, really unusually strong system developing down here in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. This is going to just soak Florida with multiple inches of rain and then make its way steadily northward and run up the coast as we go into the day tomorrow. So yes, a very nice start to the weekend, but ultimately under the influence of a significant coastal storm tomorrow, anytime after midday, right through the early part of the day on Monday. After that, we just go clearer and colder toward the middle of next week. Dry weather, mild weather holds up today, but travel trouble spot's going to be the Florida airports today, Tampa down through Orlando. And this coastal low, again, just making its run, making its move as we go forward in time. So you can see that beginning to make its way northward even as early as this afternoon. By tonight, the rain will be soaking Atlanta up into Carolina and I should say South Carolina and into the North Carolina, Virginia area as we go into Sunday morning, and then Sunday afternoon, boom, into Sunday night, rain and wind, heavy at times, kind of waves of rain coming through. That's our story late day Sunday into Sunday night and even first part of our Monday around here, kind of a slow moving system. So high rain chances to say the least Sunday into Monday. After that, we go drier. Here's the 7-day forecast. You can see several more days in the 50s. Even with the rain coming in, it'll stay relatively mild, but then the cold air blasts in behind that system Tuesday morning. And as that happens, we could even see a few flurries flying on Tuesday, and then we go kind of quiet and dry into the latter part of next week.
All right. Well, Israeli soldiers claim they accidentally killed 3 Israeli hostages. Why it's raising concern about a growing number of civilian casualties.
I'm Atrell Nisha on Capitol Hill with where negotiations stand to rush assistance to Ukraine and address one of Washington's toughest issues, immigration.
This morning, the Israeli military says they accidentally killed 3 Israeli hostages in Gaza City. They were holding up a white cloth on a stick just moments before they were shot. Those hostages were identified as 3 young men taken by Hamas on October 7th. An Israeli airstrike also reportedly killed a Palestinian journalist, Khan Younis. That's according to Al Jazeera, who says a drone strike killed one of its cameramen and wounded the network's chief Gaza correspondent. The Biden administration has expressed concern over Israel's failure to reduce civilian casualties. 3 more packages for Ukraine have been announced since last month when the White House said that funding had run out. Well, that's because it's coming out of 2 sources. One is called the Presidential Drawdown Authority, which allows the U.S. to dip into its current stock of weapons. The other is the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative, funding long-term weapons contracts. That one is now empty. The main reason why aid is still flowing has to do with the Pentagon overstating the value of the weapons it's already sent to Ukraine, essentially overcharging by more than $6 billion and leaving Ukraine with a store credit of about $4 billion. Well, on Capitol Hill, senators have canceled part of their holiday recess to stay in Washington to address the southern border and support for Ukraine. National correspondent Atra Alan-Shar has the latest on the 2 high-stakes issues dividing lawmakers.
The urgency to address Ukraine's need for military assistance and the crisis at the U.S. southern border on full display this week.
President Zelensky.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visiting Washington, making the case for renewed U.S. support before funding runs out at the end of the month.
Welcome back. Thank you so much.
And And at the southern border, migrant encounters topped 10,000 in a single day Tuesday, according to Fox News. On Capitol Hill, Republicans insist a package for Ukraine be conditioned on major border and immigration policy changes.
Define what's required for asylum here in the United States, make that a little more stringent. Being able to turn back people if we're exceeding capacity for intakes.
Congress has not been able to comprehensively address this contentious issue in decades. President Biden says his team is working with Senate Republicans and Democrats on a bipartisan compromise.
Both in terms of changes in policy and provide the resources we need to secure the border.
Progressive Democrats who applauded the president when he took office and rolled back some Trump-era policies are now pushing back against him and other Democrats for apparent concessions.
What we hear is on the table in these quote-unquote negotiations. A return to Trump-era policies is not the fix.
There will be meaningful changes in border policy being put forward. That will upset some folks on my side of the aisle, but I think it's needed.
And on the other side of the aisle, many Republicans disagree on more support for Ukraine.
Ukraine is going to have to cede some territory to the Russians, and we need to bring this war to a close.
What we're going to do is provide Ukraine with the weapons they need to defend themselves against a brutal invasion by Putin.
If the Senate manages to reach a compromise, a whole new set of challenges awaits in the House, where the new Republican speaker may or may not accept what they've handed down. On Capitol Hill, I'm Altrell Nashar reporting.
That's all I'm going to say about it.
A milestone not met in years in Baltimore. We could finish out this year below 300 homicides. House state leaders plan to build on this momentum. And we're gearing up for temperatures in the 50s this afternoon. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart is tracking the next chance for rain. That's in his full weather authority forecast. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News Weekend Edition, all local, all morning.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
All right, approaching 9:30, looking live over M&T Bank Stadium on this glorious Saturday. You're in the right spot. It's December 16th. Take a load off and relax with us. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's go ahead and jump right into your forecast. We got meteorologist Wyatt Everhart with the quickly increasing temperatures. I mean, we're doing well.
We're already well out of the 20s like the last couple mornings this week. Not nearly as frigid, right? So that's good. And these numbers that are already in the 40s in many spots, like 46 in Baltimore, 40 in Laurel, and 44 in Stevensville, these numbers are going to climb quickly today so that we end up with widespread 50s from Philadelphia south through Maryland down into Virginia. Pretty mild afternoon by mid-December standards, right? However, things will change as we go into the day tomorrow. Here's our coastal storm. We've been tracking it, been intensifying overnight during the day today. It's really going to blow up, and heavy rains for Florida today. This thing's going to be making its run up the coast through the Carolinas, arriving into Maryland tomorrow. But in the short term, all good. Temperatures running in the mid-50s with lots of sun. Get out and enjoy it today. Tomorrow, probably be inside for a lot of the afternoon and evening.
Our strategy has been focused. It's been aggressive. We're all on the same page.
This morning, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Maryland and Acting Marshal are sharing their crime-fighting strategies. Now, right now, homicides and non-fatal shootings are down across the city of Baltimore. And for the first time in years, Baltimore may finish 2023 with less than 300 homicides. Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell sat down with the U.S. Attorney for the District of Maryland, Eric Barron, and Acting Marshal Matt Silverman for an exclusive interview and has more on their strategies. Now, many say they're dropping homicides coincides with City State Attorney Ivan Bates and U.S. Attorney Eric Barron, their partnership. They announced a tougher on crime approach in the city. However, during Mayor Scott's re-election campaign, he doubled down on saying city leadership is responsible for the decline.
Why do you take credit for that?
Because we put in the effort, right?
Some data shows that when Ivan Bates and Eric Barron took office, we began to see
I think that's false data. I love them both dearly. Their cases are made by police officers that work for Brandon Scott, the mayor of Baltimore City. We direct. The rest are done by us. All the enforcement is done by us.
Well, if you want to learn more about crime-fighting strategies in Maryland, you can head to our website, foxbaltimore.com. In another case of what seems like deja vu for families investing in the state's prepaid college savings plan, their money was first frozen, then taken out of their accounts. But following the takeover of the state treasurer's office, those funds were supposed to be paid back in full. However, our Rebecca Pryor reports that may no longer be the case for some parents.
Yeah, just when they think that they are on the other side of this financial nightmare, there is yet another setback for these struggling families. Now, the state is still agreeing to pay these parents back, but now in some cases, taxes on what was supposed to be a tax-free investment could undermine their settlements. Following desperate pleas to lawmakers.
Only you can fix it.
Countless unanswered questions from agency executives.
Why won't you answer our questions? You're just ignoring us. You don't think that these families have a right to know what's going on with their money?
Patty is in there, and she's got a statement for you.
So you're not taking questions again?
Correct.
And why aren't you taking questions?
Patty over there has a statement.
The decision to transfer oversight of the state's embattled college savings plan to the state treasurer's office.
I have full confidence in my team that they will be able to do the job.
Was the lifeline Maryland 529 families drowning in debt had been waiting more than a year for.
2 or 3 days ago, I got an email with a settlement offer from Maryland 529.
The state granting Ken Sachs nearly $10,000 in interest earnings that the agency had slashed from his account without warning.
It was pretty much the number I was expecting.
Until further review of the fine print revealing the unexpected. Tax considerations on his tax-free investment.
The crux of the plan was that it was a tax-free plan. I mean, if that's their intent, that would be pretty terrible.
Not only would it shortchange Sachs's settlement,
$3,000 pretty much right off the top.
Taxing these in many cases large payouts will push people into another tax bracket, causing a ripple effect of further financial consequences.
Your income goes up by the amount of the earnings. So there's certain phase outs, child tax credits, and then also if you're applying for financial aid, for FAFSA forms, that now goes in as interest. And it's going to be a lump sum payment.
Potentially preventing families from securing financial aid or interest-free loans.
It would have significant repercussions.
Fox 45 sending questions to the Treasurer's office, asking how many accounts are affected. Is it fair to tax money Maryland families invested in a tax-free plan? And how will you address this issue? The Treasurer's office writing in part, quote, this issue impacts approximately 150 claimants. While the legislation specified that settlements are exempt from state and local taxes, they will be subject to federal taxes.
It would seem to be very easy for them to do the paperwork and make it non-taxable.
What's not easy?
My personal situation, she's in a special needs school.
Making sure Sachs's daughter is receiving the services and resources she needs to be successful.
The tuition burden is quite high. And to have to pay taxes on money, it would just be unfathomable.
Sachs says that the next step is to see if lawmakers will once again step in, with the Treasurer's office seemingly offering no new solutions. In the control room, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Thank you, Rebecca. We want to go ahead and get back to Alexa Ashwell's story. She sat down with the U.S. Attorney for the District of Maryland, Eric Barron, and Acting Marshal Matt Silverman for an exclusive interview. She has more on their crime-fighting strategies.
Murderers, shooting and carjacking suspects, drug traffickers. For years, the U.S. Marshal Service has been going after Baltimore's most violent criminals. This year, more so than ever.
Our operations have ramped up since the new U.S. Attorney came in.
Acting U.S. Marshal Matt Silverman is talking about Maryland's U.S. Attorney Eric Barron, who back in August 2022 announced new actions his office would take to address the violence in Baltimore. His approach also included requesting the U.S. Marshal Service conduct more raids and warrant sweeps.
Our strategy has been focused. It's been aggressive. We're all on the same page.
We have always done our operations the way that we do our operations, and we've always left it open to the U.S. Attorney to ask for assistance from the Marshal Service to do additional operations.
Those operations, Silverman believes, has contributed to Baltimore's historic reduction in homicides and shootings, the result of the work and partnerships between federal, state, and local agencies.
It's one of the many reasons right now that we are coming up on historic lows for the last many years within Baltimore City.
But of course, challenges remain and hurdles still exist. The federal agency is seeing more cases where the fugitive wanted is a juvenile.
Most recently, we're seeing an extraordinary uptick in violent crime involving juveniles.
Silverman sees it as Baltimore's biggest challenge right now when it comes to the city's crime fight.
Crime-wise, right now in Baltimore City, I would have to say the biggest issue that we're facing is going to be juvenile crimes. Juveniles across this state and across other states, they have that sense of freedom that if they get arrested, nothing's going to happen.
A problem echoed by local police, prosecutors, and the people of Baltimore, calling on lawmakers for change.
The number of car thefts are on the rise in the city and the county. The free event happening at M&T Bank Stadium this weekend that can help you protect your vehicle.
All right, and maybe today in the afternoon at least you're driving with the windows down just a little bit, close to 60 this afternoon. After that, things go downhill tomorrow. Coastal storm arriving into Maryland. We'll detail the timing on that storm straight ahead.
Coming up this week on Full Measure, school choice has become a new reality for millions of students as parents continue to make their voices heard across the country, but not all school choice movements are successful. We're off to a large school district to find out why a popular idea keeps faltering. Lisa Fletcher travels to Queens, New York to look at a controversial new trend, the push to decriminalize prostitution and what it's doing to communities across America. And a new documentary examines the stories of some people who suffered medical problems after getting their COVID vaccines. An eye-opening look at how doctors were vilified when they tried to help, and allegations that the government has long been quietly treating a select few of the injured. All this week on Full Measure.
All right, let's take a look at some of the events happening in our region today. Happening right now until 5 o'clock this evening, the Marines are distributing toys to a couple thousand registered families at the Padleum Liberty Heights Avenue. That happens until 5 p.m., so you got some time there. Also happening right now, it's the Shop with a Cop event in Baltimore County. This event gives kids an opportunity to team up with a member of the police force to help shop for their loved ones and get some holiday gifts. That's happening at the Walmart in Cockeysville. And now until 2 p.m. this afternoon, County Police and the Hyundai team are teaming up to provide anti-theft software upgrades to Hyundai owners. You can check out that event at M&T Bank Stadium. But right after the break, how you can slay your holiday makeup looks while keeping your skin healthy and moisturized and glowing. You want to know how to do that. Trust me. Stick with Fox 45 Morning News Weekend Edition. All local, all morning. Oh, yeah. Well, the holidays are here, and that means it's time to shine up your makeup with looks that are sure to inspire some cheer. Joining us this morning in studio, we've got Kristen Floyd from OCB Spa, and we also have a model with us today. What's your name, ma'am? Somini. All right, so let's talk about this because we want to find quick and easy ways to take up our makeup during the holidays. Give us some tips, please.
You know I'm all about quick, right? Quick glam. And I love these Cream Stay eyeshadow sticks from Glow Skin Beauty. I can't talk this morning. Glow Skin Beauty. So what I have on her is obviously lashes. That makes things pop, right? And then the Cream Stay, it's a really fabulous way to give impact quickly and without eyeshadow fallout. And I have a little bit of this highlighter stick, and I love how creamy it is. It can go on and in the center for a little highlight, and you can tap to blend, add a little color, and no powder fallout, and it stays. And I didn't do a smoky on her because I have a really kind of a bold lip, but these are a great way to do a smoky eye. They blend, so you've got time to blend them out before they set and stay. You got like 12-hour wear, and so it's high impact, low effort glam.
And I like that because you can kind of just switch off the day look and then do a night look.
Add a little more, buff it out, blend it, smoky eye in an instant, but without the raccoon underneath.
Our quick queens, this is what we're looking for, right? Okay, well, how about adding some sparkle? I've always struggled with adding sparkle without being excessive and scaring the folks.
Like we fell into glitter. So I love Glow Highlighter. So I have here this really beautiful, so they have this highlighter duo, and I do have a little bit of the cream highlighter on her. What I love is you can come back with a little bit of this powder version and come over top of where you did the cream, and it gives more high impact. and I can come over where I put the cream here,
and it can pick
more
up
high
those
impact.
tones.
Yeah, and then you can add anywhere you want it, a little bit. Add a little bit, just the high points of the face, and easy blend with the finger. So you can do one or the other. I like to add more impact by doing the cream first, then adding the highlighter. And so you can give it a little bit more impact wherever you want it, and just those high points of the face. You can even use it as an eyeshadow. Don't be married to it being in one spot.
And it can pick, I love how it picks up the tones from each different flow. I just love this, but I have to be honest with you. I'm looking for a red lip. I've not found a good one. It is so hard to find. And this time of year, who isn't?
Yeah, I love a red lip for the holiday. I am wearing Bullseye from Glow, and I do have a deeper version on her. So I have a deeper crimson on her. I've mixed two of the Glow colors together. So I love a red lip. And so a nice way to give a pop to a red lip, and again, don't be married to products living. You could even use some of this cream highlighter and add it to the lippy to give it some pop. But what I'm gonna do is take this eyeshadow brush, I'm gonna go into the highlighter, tapping off a little excess, and I'm gonna put it right in the middle.
Oh, that's mysterious.
Blend your lips. Blend a little harder.
Get into it.
Yeah, and then...
Oh, it's like a little shimmer that you didn't even have to...
You have a holiday lip.
Ooh.
If you don't want to go full glitter, then you can go highlighter glam in the middle and give it a little sparkle, but I also brought glitter because, you know, if you want to add glitter, feel free. Then you can use some glitter and add it in there.
Well, Kristen, I'm going to come to you for glitter because I know safe with glitter.
You have to.
This is definitely what we need to know as we go into the holidays, keeping it dewy, keeping it light, keeping it fun. Thank you, Kristen.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and kick it over to meteorologist Wyatt Everhart. Are you getting your holiday glow on, Wyatt?
I guess. I don't know. I'm impressed. It all looks really good to me. You know, TV guys, we got the dust, right? The powder dust. There's no gleam to it at all. I'm trying to not gleam, actually. 42 right now, BWI. Winds are west at 3. And we've got a chilly morning, but nothing over the top for December. And certainly you compare this to like mornings midweek. This is almost balmy, right? Not much wind. Quiet, sunny, good-looking day of weather for you. We'll climb into the upper 50s between about 1 and 4 o'clock. So I think we got a chance in spots to go to 60 degrees again, like we did yesterday, by the way. So what a nice start to a December weekend, less than 10 days from Christmas. But that will change. The quiet weather we have up and down the central east coast is about to go away as we bring in our next weather maker. Big storm system down here in the eastern Gulf of Mexico already bringing in the heavy rains to the so-called Sunshine State. Florida is not living up to that name today, soaked with rain, and also the winds ramping up with that system as it moves further north and in our direction. So despite the nice start to the weekend, it's coastal storm conditions starting tomorrow, really after midday and right into Monday. I think we will dry it out and go colder by Tuesday into Wednesday. But in the meantime, all eyes to the south. Our nice, balmy, mild weather is about to be replaced by wet conditions, to say the least. And this coastal low, really fairly strong system. You know, we haven't had a lot of rain this fall and the early winter, but when we've had it, it's been some pretty good rain events, and this is going to be another one. Rain plus wind, actually. Flood concerns parts of Florida with this system. As it runs up through the Carolinas, you'll notice that the clouds are increasing right through the day tomorrow, and by tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, we're on and off heavy rounds of rain, and the winds ramp up too, and we kind of keep this ugly weather around through about the first half of the day on Monday. So there it is for you, bringing in the storm and then blowing it out of here. And behind it, we'll be back to cold numbers Tuesday and the Wednesday. Back to you, Taylor.
Well, in your consumer news, a very expensive pair of Nike shoes were found on a shelf in a shelter in Oregon. The gold Air Jordans were designed for filmmaker Spike Lee for the 2019 Academy Awards. Only about 4 or 5 pairs were ever made, but one somehow ended up in a donation slot at a Portland rescue mission. The staff notified the shoes designer, Tinker Hatfield, who personally authenticated them. He also donated a replacement box and a frame design proof, which both he signed in gold. So get this, the lot of this auction, all the proceeds will be going to the mission. The unique shoes, though, expected to fetch $10,000 to $20,000. Whew, must be some nice shoes. Well, take a look at this. A new study reveals which Y2K music icons have the most loyal fan base in Maryland based off of some Google searches, okay? And the winner is, you know that voice, Beyonce. The singer clocked in more than 600,000 searches each month. Will Smith and Michael Jackson followed behind in the top 2 and 3 spots. Interesting. And finally, after an intense week of voting, the Maryland Zoo's new penguin chick has a name. Meet Chessie, named after, of course, the Chesapeake Bay. Chessie is a critically endangered African penguin chick. Her name was chosen from 2,500 Maryland-themed submissions. You can visit Chessie now at the Maryland Zoo in Baltimore. Stay with Fox 45 Morning News. After the break, meteorologist Wyatt Everhart joins us here at the desk for his exclusive 7-day forecast as we send you on your way this Saturday.
Hey, how about that?
Blue skies.
Yeah, blue skies. Feeling like the mid to upper 50s later today, so we like it. Better weather than they have in Florida today here in Maryland,
That's
right?
actually
Because
crazy
they're just
to say,
like
but
pounded by rain down
yeah.
here. Bottom line, Taylor, tomorrow it all kind of goes downhill, right? That coastal storm comes up here. Wet weather scenario. We're going to enjoy sitting inside watching the Ravens play tomorrow night. And then after that, kind of colder and drier toward the midweek. By the way, you look at the 10-day. There's Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
What are we doing, Wyatt?
It's just looks
How did we get here? How did we get here?
You know, it's coming in fast. But the weather right now looks pretty quiet for Christmas travels.
Oh.
So we'll see if that holds. It's still a ways off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that would be some great news. Lord knows it's going to be a busy holiday travel season.
There's always this, I say, man, when can we get a white Christmas?
Right?
But like, we all know that's like a long shot in Maryland, right?
Right.
So right now, the early indications, and probably not. We'll see.
It'd be better to have a white Christmas on Christmas and then just after that dissipate because the travel there, the travel home.
Right, like holds off till Christmas morning, snows half the day, and then maybe like melts that
We
afternoon.
can still cross our fingers for now. That's what I'm crossing.
There's always a chance.
Okay. Thanks for joining us this Saturday. I hope you have an incredible day. Make today meaningful. Do something nice for somebody else. I don't know.
I just made me think of that movie line. So you're telling me there's a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Have a great day out there.
Have a good one, y'all.
Enjoy it. It was a nice day.
Yeah. Nice guys.